You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Broadcasting live from Test Venue, Forsyth Bar Stadium in Dunedin, 7:05 tonight. Then, of course, we can get home and watch Joe Schmidts' Wallabies for the first time. Scott Robertson taking charge of the All Blacks for the first time tonight. Joe Schmidt in charge of the Wallabies up against Wales at Allianz, which brings us nicely to our Australian correspondent, Adam Peacock. How are you, mate?
Good, Piney. Yourself?
Very good, thanks, mate. Very good. Looking forward to watching the Wallabies against Wales tonight. What's the general feeling around about the Wallabies under Joe Schmidt? They should win tonight, shouldn't they?
Should do, yeah. Obviously, Wales have had a few issues in Six Nations, and even though last time we met, they absolutely pumped us, and that was the cataclysmic end or punctuation point, if you want to point it that way, on the Eddie Jones era. That was as low can get for Australian rugby. So I think this new fella, your fella, our fella now, Joe Schmidt, he's come in and he's not gone, let's press the panic button, let's get all the guys in from overseas, let's do this, let's do that. It's like, okay, if you want to go and play rugby league next year, you're gone. If you want to be overseas at the moment, no, I won't pick you. I'll just go from Super Rugby and back to basics approach, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. It's not the nicest day here in Sydney, a bit of rain about, so it might not be free-flowing running rugby, but probably not going to be that anyway first up with Joe. So, yeah, intrigued to have a look at it. I don't really know. I don't think there's too many people who really know what we're going to get from the Wallabies this next 6 months.
What sort of cut through is it getting? Because we're right in the middle of, the NRL season, Australian rules still going on, other things happening, Wimbledon, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Does rugby get cut through? Do people know there's a test match on in Sydney tonight?
Yeah, it depends where you look. Look, I don't know what it's like there in New Zealand, but it feels like with the electronic media these days and print media, that if a certain organisation has the rights, as the Nine Network do here in Australia, and it's on Stan, so that means their papers like the Sydney Morning Herald give it heavy coverage. But if it's not there, like the other sides of the media don't really invest heavily in it, there's an element of intrigue. So it does depend where you look. But yeah, there is a bit of interest in the rugby playing states. I'd say the AFL playing states, not so much. But yeah, there's a bit here, even though there is Origin and regular NRL stuff going on.
Wimbledon, I mentioned that. We just talked about our under-17 basketball team about to take on the United States in terms of a David versus Goliath. One of your young Australians taking on Novak Djokovic. Has he got a David chance against Goliath?
I'd put Alexei Popyrin's chances a little bit better than David's chances against Goliath, but not a huge amount. Obviously, it's Djokovic, and look, at the moment he doesn't to be showing the full effects of a knee surgery just gone, but look, he doesn't have that base to lean on, I don't think, Djokovic, so if Popyrin gets him into a fight, he might be a chance here. So not ruling him out, but he's going to have to play near his best, which he has done. Alexei in his first two, pretty switched on performances so far, but there's Djokovic, centre court, Wimbledon. Not many people beating there, so yeah.
What's Nick Kyrgios's latest situation?
I don't know. He's just lurking around. He's had wrist issues, which can be a career ender. I remember Martin Del Potro, he started to have wrist injuries and he was never the player. Not the case with Nick, because he does bring something to the court, but he's best friends with Djokovic now, which is just a surreal thought. He's doing a bit of commentary there for the BBC. So he is making his presence known wherever he goes and his opinion known, Nick. But hopefully around the American hardcourt swing, which comes up in a month's time or so, he's back out there, because tennis does need a player like Nick Kyrgios, and it looks as though, given how much he's hanging around the tour, Nick Kyrgios needs tennis as well. So he's not far off, but he's not quite there yet.
All right, and to finish today, football, the A-Leagues during the week have announced a cutting of their cloth. The money that they give to the A-League clubs is going to be greatly diminished next season. What are the repercussions of this?
I think the clubs knew deep down that this was coming, so that they're preparing budgets accordingly. Look, clubs like Central Coast, Adelaide, and I'll probably lump Wellington in with this now, they can ride this out because they've seen it, and they've got some young players coming through, and Wellington obviously have the reserves to play in your National League, and they've got the academy and things like that. So it's not a complete, doomsday apocalypse, but it's not great, and clubs really need an upturn in those centralised funding distributions to keep viable in the long term. At the moment, it's not going to happen. Next 2 years, it's not going to happen. But, yeah, I think they're going to have to lean heavily into developing players for transfer markets, and that's the only way out of it. But the football, overall, you might not get your quality of import in as you would, and your young player might go earlier, but they're the two main differences, I think, going forward for the league.
All right. And did you get some golf in before the heavens opened?
Yeah. No, the heavens opened during. No, mate, you're sitting in Dunedin, and I feel like I am as well. So 8 success. We counted it out in the course. 8 successive Saturdays where there's been rain and wind. It's ridiculous, hideous.
Yeah. Do you think it's somebody's way of telling you to give the game of golf away, or not?
Yeah, probably, but I won't.
Love it, mate. Always love chatting Australian sport with you, Adam. We'll do it again next Saturday.
Sounds good, Piney. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate. Have a good one. That's Adam Peacock, our Australian correspondent. Catch him on socials. He's also part of Stan Sports coverage of Wimbledon. Alexei Popyrin up against Novak Djokovic. That's 3:45 tomorrow morning. For those who would like to get up to watch the latest Australian hope up against Novak Djokovic. 3:45 tomorrow morning, which is around about the same time, actually, that Ireland and South Africa play.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday, or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.